Free will. Where's your free will? Do you have free will? Can you point to it? We're very complicated beings. We have a lot of different things pulling us in different directions. And also, we have like an internal reward and punishment system, you know. You feel good about yourself knowing you did something right. You feel bad about yourself knowing you did something wrong. So how can you ever say like you've done anything altruistic, you've done anything for God without any ulterior motives? You're always gonna get some dopamine or some reward in your brain. You're gonna get some good feeling. There's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna feel good about yourself if you did something right. If you know you did something right, you're gonna feel good about it. And if you do something wrong, you know you're gonna feel bad about it. So how can you ever say like you did anything for God or completely for God? You're getting punished, and even in your own head, you punish yourself for doing wrong and you reward yourself for doing good. So how can you say you ever did anything altruistic completely for God? And the answer is because it doesn't matter how many things are pulling me and how strongly they're pulling me. I get to choose as a human being. I get to choose why I'm doing something. And that's the power of free will. Free will is the power of choice of why I'm doing this. Yeah, they're paying me $1 billion not to, and this guy's paying me $1 billion too, or whatever, and I'm gonna feel good if I do it, I'm gonna feel bad if I don't, or all the factors. I don't know, as many factors as you want. Like, I personally think we could develop a program, you could input the data of a person's life, and we can accurately predict exactly what they're gonna do, for real. I think we can get it so down. I'm saying, I don't know technically how this program would work, how to get all the data of a person's life and how to input that into our program. But I do firmly believe that if you had the data of a person's entire life like God does, it's like free will becomes a joke. What do you mean free will? I can predict exactly what you're gonna do, I think. I think if I had all the data of your life, of course I could predict what you're gonna do in every situation. Any situation that a person is put in, I think if we could examine all the factors, all the things pulling him this way, all the things pulling him that way, along with his environment that he grew up in, that he is in, that he will be in, I don't know, all the factors, I think I could predict accurately every single thing he's gonna do forever. It's not that hard. We're not, you know, we're pretty straightforward beings. If you're in a situation and the temptation is this strong and you're this feeling good about yourself or this depressed, or all these factors play a role. Your upbringing, everything, you know, everything plays a role. But at the end of the day, whichever side is stronger is gonna win. Whichever side is pulling you more is gonna win. There's a lot of factors, but at the end of the day, you're being pulled more to one direction, and that's what you're gonna do. That's what I believe. Okay, and it doesn't contradict the free will, because if you don't have free will, there's really no point in creation. The whole point of creation is free will. God could have just created robots. He created the human being, which is the epitome of creation, for the point of free will. So how am I not contradicting myself? Because I'm saying I don't really believe in free will in that sense. I believe everything's pre-programmed, pretty much. So it's not exactly pre-programmed. It's fluid and it moves on the moment. But with all the data, I'm saying outcomes are certain. In my theory, outcomes are certain. So, yeah, in a way. So how could you have free will? So I'm saying free will is something else. Free will is you're choosing why you do something. Yeah, they're motivating you this way, motivating you that way. But at the end of the day, you're a human being. You get to choose why you're doing anything you do. Okay? That's one idea of the choice, the human choice, the human power of free will. It's not so much in the actions. I don't know if it's in the actions at all. Saying it's in your, I don't know if we want to say your desire or you're choosing why I'm doing this action. Why am I doing this, okay? Now, not only that, I want to say it goes backwards also. I want to say our choices and our intentions, they're not set in stone. They're not set in stone. They're very fluid. Especially because we're such complicated creatures with so many different, nuanced motivations. It's really impossible to say and set in stone, this is why I'm doing something. This is why I'm doing something. No, you're not doing it because of this specific reason. You're doing it for all these other reasons put together is going to end up with you doing the output that you did. The thing is, no, you do get to choose. Besides for free choice is so strong that even when there's 1,000,001 things motivating you this way and that way and everything, you still get to choose why you're doing it because you have free will. That's how strong free will is. Free will can actually change the reality, so to speak, or set the reality, because reality is not really set. There's no real answer about why did the chicken cross the road. There's really no answer. There's really no correct answer of why did the chicken cross the road, because the chicken doesn't have free will. And the chicken is programmed to look for food, to be aware of predators, for this or this, that. It has its genetic coding, it has its, its traumas, it has its own personality. And at the end of the day, the chicken crossed the road for all of those reasons put together. All of those reasons put together, the chicken crossed the road. But the chicken didn't choose why to cross the road. The chicken never chose why to cross the road because the chicken doesn't have free will. But the human being, when he crossed the road, why did the human being cross the road? Good morning. Why did the human being cross the road? I'll tell you why the human being crossed the road. He crossed the road for whatever he chose. And if he didn't choose and he was just going through life and he happened to cross the road, later in life I can come as a human being and judge him, or he can judge himself, or I can judge him for him. And we can choose to set his intention of why he crossed the road. We could reframe it, or frame it for the first time, or reframe it. But that's an idea from Rabbi Nachman, that even a completely wicked person, depending on how you judge him, you can actually cause him to repent and come back by how you look at him. Your perspective on him can actually change him. I want to tie that in. I want to say that's because everything's fluid with the human being. Again, it's so nuanced. But everything's so fluid, it's not set in motion. You can't really say why a human being crossed the road either. You can't say why a chicken crossed the road. You can never. I'm saying you can't say why a chicken crossed the road. It's too complicated. It's too much. A human being, I would say the same thing other than free will. Because we have free will, we get to choose why we cross the road. A chicken has no free will. You can't tell me why he crossed the road. No, it's very complicated, and it's a summary of everything that ever went on in his brain altogether to this moment. Led him to either cross the road or not cross the road. But you can't point to one idea. Oh, he crossed the road because he chose that this is why he's crossing the road. No, he didn't. He's a pre-programmed, based on all the conditions set outside. That's why he crossed the road. A human being, I'm saying, because we have free will, that power, we can choose. I crossed the road for this intention. With this intention, I'm crossing the road. With this desire, I'm crossing the road. And not only that, I can do it for another person. Meaning if you ask me why did Jesus cross the road 2,000 years ago, I'm saying it doesn't really matter why Jesus crossed the road, what he thought, even if he said out loud, I'm crossing the road for this, and this is my free will and my choice and my intention. It doesn't really matter. I can look at Jesus now, and I can tell you why he crossed the road. And using my free will, I'm saying I can tell you why I crossed the road, and I can affect him positively or negatively, but my free choice, my free will, allows me to make that choice. I don't know how it works exactly. Am I making that choice for him, or I'm just because of how I look at him? But apparently the way you judge a person can actually affect him, right? For better. So again, I'm just trying to say free choice is not so clear to me. Like, people think, if you smoked on Shabbos, you mamish did something, like you did it, and you're all wicked and bad. I'm not convinced that when I or anyone else smokes on Shabbos, that they really made a choice to smoke on Shabbos. I don't believe that. I think it has to do with, bro, you're not supposed to smoke on Shabbos. Why do you smoke on Shabbos? You made a choice that I don't care, or you made a choice. No, even if you heard the voice in your head and you had a conversation with your head for 3 hours, so you think, I really fucked up. I really smoked on Shabbos. It was me. I made the choice. Bullshit. I don't believe it. I think those were all the factors leading to that moment. And if I had the data beforehand, I could have even told you the exact second that you'd say, fuck it, and light the cigarette. I think if I had all the data in your brain, I could tell you the exact second that you would light the cigarette. I'm saying you have no free will whatsoever in that context. Again, you have to have free will, otherwise there's no point in creation. So I'm telling you, I think where your free will is somewhere else. It's more in the emotional or in the intellect. Why did I smoke the cigarette? Or why do I not want to smoke the cigarette? Or, do you get what I'm saying? Which will actually affect your actions, because if your free will is never going to affect your actions, it's also kind of pointless, maybe, or less pointless, but still pointless, or not as important. Meaning your free will should be affecting your actions, right? So I would say, yeah, it could affect your actions, but not in a very direct way, or even in a direct way, but not in a very observable way. Meaning, if you keep making the right choices about why you're doing something, the more you connect to God through your choice of this is what I'm desiring, I desire God, connect to the oneness of God, and reveal the oneness of God. If that's your intention, automatically your actions are going to get closer and closer to reflecting that reality. But it's not that I'm choosing my actions. I'm choosing my desires and the reason behind my actions, and that is going to hopefully affect my actions. Okay, I'm not telling you I have proofs for anything that I'm saying, that I'm right for anything, or that it's written here or there, or that it's right. These are just ideas, okay? This is just ideas, and if you resonate with it, you resonate with it. I'm saying truth resonates with truth. You know, if you find truth, you know it, and if it's wrong, you know it's wrong. So I'm not telling you I'm proving anything or saying anything right. I'm giving it an idea that it sounds good in my head, and you tell me what it sounds like in your head. That choice is not so much in your actions, it's about why am I doing something which will eventually affect my actions. And not only that, but I can do repentance on past actions, whether they were my actions or someone else's actions, doesn't really matter, by reframing or setting for the first time or resetting the intention, because the intention was always fluid, it was never set in stone. There's way too many factors to say this is why he did it or this is why he did it. Actually, the only way to say why a person does something is what he chooses. You can't say that I did this because of this. No, there's too many of those. It's very fluid. It's not set in stone until I make the choice. And I'm saying the choice is not an action. It's why I did it. So I have to say, I'm doing this for the sake of unifying Hashem and the divine presence. I'm doing this for the sake of, why am I doing it? That is your free choice, and that's what you're setting. And even if I didn't do it, someone can come after me or with me or at the same time. It doesn't matter, but someone else can come and look at him in a positive light. Like, for example, Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, who's buried in Ukraine, he'll be there shortly, talks about reframing people in a positive light all the time. There's many famous stories, like he saw a guy, maybe smoking on Shabbos, and he says to the guy, you probably don't know it's Shabbos. The guy says, I know it's Shabbos. So he says to him, you probably don't know you're not allowed to smoke on Shabbos. He says, I know you're allowed to smoke on Shabbos. What does he say, Levi Yitzchak, to the guy? He says, he looks up to the heaven. He says, wow, Abba, Father, Hashem, God, how holy are your children? They don't want to lie to you. They don't want to lie in front of you. They don't want to lie to you. They don't want to lie. The guy's not going to... I gave him every opportunity. Say, he didn't know it's Shabbos, or he didn't know you're not allowed to smoke on Shabbos. No, he knows it's Shabbos. He knows you're not allowed to smoke on Shabbos. He's not lying. He's not lying. Look, he's telling the truth. So that's a way of reframing a situation and pointing at a guy's intention. You're not changing his actions. The guy's still smoking on Shabbos in public, but you brought out a certain intention inside of him that's a good intention. Like, look, I'm setting his intention. Look, until now, everything's undetermined, but by me looking and saying, look, he's intending and choosing to say the truth, you're bringing out a certain positivity inside of him, and now this whole scenario, the guy smoking in public on Shabbos, is being reframed in the context of he's being truthful, and that's what's motivating this entire situation, is being motivated by his desire for truth and to be truthful. And that now it's a whole completely different situation, and according to Rabbi Nachman, this will actually cause the guy to actually return to God. I don't know if his actions will change, but it says he'll have teshuvah. Even a completely wicked person will have teshuvah. What does that mean? It means now he's not going to be smoking on Shabbos, or now his smoking on Shabbos is elevated. I don't know what it means, but there's some type of change that you can affect by reframing or framing for the first time, but setting the intention of the person, focusing on the intention of the person. And you can do that to anyone. I'm saying that's why I brought up Jesus. Why did Jesus cross the road? Jesus crossed the road, or he didn't cross the road. It's a very big question if Jesus in the Talmud is the same Jesus as the Christian Jesus. But listen, you have a story about Yeshu HaNotzri. You have a story of Yeshu ben Padera, right? And then you have a story about Ben Padera. And all of these characters were involved with sorcery, black magic, taking Jews away from God, and they have all been to Egypt. Now, some people want to say, but he might have been at this time period, he might have been at this time period. How do they know what time period he is in all the stories? Because of the other characters or references. I'm saying, so either you have to say so each Yeshu HaNotzri is a different character, because we're basing it on other characters, or no, it's one Yeshu HaNotzri, and the other characters that you're basing your timeline off, there's three. Maybe, he was in the time of Yanai HaMelech, so maybe it's a different Yeshu. No, it's one Yeshu, and maybe there was two Yanai HaMelechs, which is obviously crazy. No one's going to tell you there's two Yanai HaMelechs. No one's going to tell you there's two Yanai HaMelechs. Two Yanai HaMelechs, we would know. We would know that there was a second Yanai HaMelech. Yeah, and we would know if there was a second Jesus Nazar. We would know. What, we wouldn't know? I'm just saying, that's one point. One point is like, it's a little ridiculous to say that there's more than one Jesus of Yeshua Noitzri. There's more than one, but what do you mean? If I told you that and I would say, no, it's only one Jesus, but the other King Yanai there was two of, you would laugh. You would never take me seriously. How can there be two and we don't know? But so for some reason about Jesus Noitzri, you accept, we just don't know about the other one. History forgot that there were 7 Jesus Noitzris. You're retarded, in my opinion, humble opinion. I think you're retarded. There's more reasons to say why it's all one. Because if you have 3 guys called Jesus ben Padera, or once he's called Jesus ben Padera, and once he's called Ben Padera, or something like that, I'm just saying, and they all went to Egypt, and they all were stoned on Erev Passover, and they all this and all that. I'm saying it's a lot more logical to say it's the same person than to say it's 3 separate instances. Do you get what I'm saying? Especially because you don't have any proof that there was 3 separate guys. But I'm just saying if these 3 or multiple instances, maybe more than 3, can either be separate instances and separate characters, or they can just be the same character, same story, it's a lot more likely it's the same story. If I'm not sure, like, listen, this goat killed someone because, or like an ox trampled someone, right? If you trampled someone once, you could say, like, listen, it wasn't on purpose. There was a fly in his nose and he had a twitch and by mistake trampled someone. The second time the ox trampled someone or gored someone, you could say, listen, there was lightning across the field. He got scared and he jumped and he by mistake trampled someone. The third time the ox tramples someone, you got to be retarded to make up another excuse. Yes, there was lightning the second time, and we know that for a fact. And yes, the third time there was a fly in his nose, and we know that for a fact. Even if the third time, I'm saying you have an even best excuse in the world. Like literally, he has Tourette's, and we saw that he was like having a Tourette's twitch, this ox. But dude, it's the third time now. You got to be retarded to like say, it's 3 separate instances. By the time it's the third time, it's a lot more logical to say this is a fucking trampling ox. This is a goring ox. It's not about the fly that was in his ear and the lightning across the field and the Tourette's that he was having. He's a trampling ox, okay? So I'm saying you can say, that Jesus is this guy, that Jesus is that guy, and that Jesus is that guy. Or you could just say it's a trampling Jesus. It's one fucking Jesus, bro. It's all the same thing. You're telling me it's really 3 separate instances or 5 separate instances of a guy that went to Egypt, was called Jesus of Nazarene, and you know what I mean? It makes no sense. Chaim.